Hi, Scott. Good morning. So nice to hear you and finally meet you, even if it's...
Oh, but I don't have my video on. Let me turn it on for you.
Yeah, I can see your picture, but then you're...
I went to go get some tea. I was feeling a little dehydrated. I've been working this morning. So, how fun.
Yes,
Lighting everything up.
It's so much fun to meet you finally and here in Santiago de Chile.
I have a friend. I have two friends who are living in Santiago right now.
Oh, yeah?
And it's funny because thank you for reminding me what our conversation before. I've been working so much lately. I was like, I'm sure this is a podcast, but I didn't put any details on my calendar. And usually I put it on there. So I remember, and because I do like 25, 30 calls a week.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it's the right scheduling link for a podcast. But my brain just completely froze yesterday.
No, I know you are a very busy man. I'm very glad that you can talk with me. And
I'm excited. Yeah, this is so fun.
I met you through the Mind Ballet course, the Money IQ with Ken Honda.
Did you have a good experience with it?
I had a very good experience. I always have this very nice, I don't have issues with the money and all of that, but it was very nice to know you and also to know Ken Honda, and he's so nice and you're so nice. And I love the brain training, the rewiring the brain and all the exercises, the meditations that you did through the course. They were amazing. I really enjoyed it. And
thank you so much.
And now I'm telling my daughter and my husband to do the course. And
beautiful.
It's very interesting, very nice. I love it. I'm not much of a writer. Like, I don't write the whole thing. I admire people that, go through Facebook and they write everything, what they feel, what they thought, what they dream, everything. But for me, it's more like, I like more like to keep it for me, and and it was, but I read everything. And
oh wow, there was a lot to read. People post in there so much. It's I've been hearing from people that it's actually one of the most active Facebook groups in all of the Mind Valley Quest. Like, folks are really just,
and it's like more than 1,000 people.
It's almost 3,200, I think, when I checked this morning. So
yeah,
and it just keeps growing. Like, I added 20 people this morning.
Yeah, and yesterday they were asking about to have a class with you.
Oh yeah, it's because it's funny. We did a bonus call on Tuesday. And I said, I'm happy to do more of these, but you just tell Austin you want them so that you'll show up. Because it's not, I don't think anybody is unwilling. We just want to make sure that it's something people actually want to come to. So it's like, just give us feedback so we know to plan that. And we had a really nice number on Tuesday night. We had about 160 people come. And we did some great work. And I feel like we told people very, very late. So I was super happy for the number of people who showed up. So I'm talking to him next week, and we're figuring out to do more.
Yeah, it's amazing. The group is amazing.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch. I didn't expect any of that piece. The beautiful community that's formed and people making friends with each other, and it's been really, really lovely. So let's shift gears because I want to watch our time.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about how before we start recording, what you would like to do, kind of what you'd like me to talk about. Just give me a little bit of a map for our time. And, and you seem to...
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to take much of your time either because, I know you're very, very busy. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Laura. You can hear me, right?
Oh, yeah, I can totally hear you. I'm going to turn you up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm Laura, and I am Perfect Health Ayurveda style of life from the Chopra Center. I studied with Deepak Chopra, with the Dr. Deepak Chopra, and with some others like Suhas Kierkegaard and, well, a lot of them. I've been connected with the center for like almost a year now. And I give classes here in Santiago de Chile about Ayurveda and emotional freedom and things like that.
Oh, beautiful.
Then it's what I do here.
This is exciting.
It's very nice. I love it. I started 2 years ago, and it's been very rewarding, if I can say like that.
Yeah,
It's amazing, and I'm continue to do it online. Now that we are with the COVID-19 and everything, I'm doing everything online. And what I would love if you can share with us, mechanisms to cope and calm, especially the fear and anxiety around the coronavirus, the COVID-19, and the concern that people have about not being able to work. I hear we are in quarantine almost, well, my husband and I, it's almost a month now that we've been in quarantine. And people is really, really starting to worry, about their jobs and work and how they are going to live. And the anxiety also to come back to a world that is not the same, like it was before. And some have fears, anxiety, how are we going to live, after this? And that's more or less what I wanted for you to share, because it's very important on these days.
Yeah, my friend was telling me, I talked to him last Friday, he said that right now you're even to go walk a dog, you have to get a license.
Yes.
And he told me he can take his dog for a walk once a day.
And and it's half an hour, and it's only half an hour, and I live in Las Condes. Las Condes, it's the one that it's on full quarantine. Well, all of them are, but this one is a very safe one. And we have to take like a permission, online, and then we walk the dog for like half an hour and then come back, and that's it. In the middle of the day, we take him to the garden, around the apartments, and that's it. And at night, you can take it another half an hour, but that's it. And it's just one person for family. Yeah.
Yes. We've just gone into a similar in quarantine. We've been about a week, but it's not quite as strict yet.
Yeah, I know. We started after the government saw what was going on in Spain and in Italy. They took, severe measures here. And
I think it's really
so
smart.
far so good.
Yeah, so your family's been healthy?
Yes, thanks God.
Good.
Yeah, everybody is healthy, and we are, follow directions and everything that they said we do. Now it's in Las Condes, where I live, it's forbidden to go out without the mask. You have to wear the mask.
They're starting to do that in the US, but
and also gloves.
It's a little confusing to me because so much of what had been told by the World Health Organization and other places is that wearing the mask only protects people who are, if you're sick. But I guess because you don't know who's sick, I guess it makes sense.
Exactly. It's in the beginning, everybody here said that you should not wear masks, because only the sick people have to do that. But now we know that COVID-19, a lot of people don't have the symptoms, especially the children don't have the symptoms. They are asymptomatic. Then that means that if you're around them and they have the COVID, then of course you will, one person can infect 10 more. Then and so on, and then it's better to wear a mask and gloves, and we have to use, ¿cómo se dice? Desinfectante? Like hand sanitizers and everything that you bring from the supermarket. You have to clean it and you have to wash it, and even your clothes, if you go out and you're being in contact with more people, you come home, you take your clothes off and put it inside a bag and then directly to your washing machine. No, it's we've been with doing this for like almost a month, and I was surprised that in the U.S. they didn't start it earlier.
Well, the U.S. has been having some leadership issues for a while.
I know, I know. I study in U.S. and I live in U.S. for five years, different places, and I was surprised, but I think it was the leadership, like you said, because before, U.S. is always the first one, and
Yeah.
now I'm very, very surprised, very, very much so.
You are not alone at your level of surprise. So
Yeah.
many of us in the country were just like, come on, we need somebody who's like actually looking out for people. It's
Yes.
a it's a hard time to be here because in such a crisis you want to trust your leadership, but we really can't. So
Yes.
what's been interesting is the governors have actually been much more leaders than the federal government right now
Yeah.
because they've had to be. They've just had to do, take over, and the mayors in towns, you know,
Exactly.
and they have led the way. Like in my town, in Portland, where I was before I came to be with my
Yeah.
mom, the mayor actually, with 23 other mayors in the state, said to the governor, if you don't do this,
We will.
you're going to do it.
Exactly.
You know, the governor had to succumb to the pressure of these cities because the rural parts didn't want to do it.
Mhm.
It was like, but it's too important not to do it. So,
Well,
oh,
here
man.
it was the same in the beginning. The mayors were also saying, listen, you have to do something quickly. And the government was like, we will see, because we had in the beginning like 75 children in one school that had the COVID. And then all of a sudden it was 70. And then, the mayor said, or you do something or I will, or we will do it. And the government started to react and do.
We still have 8 states that have refused to do any kind of quarantine, which is just crazy.
I was amazed when I saw the, spring break in Florida. I was just like,
So
God,
stupid.
oh my God, please.
No, it was insane. Luckily, where I'm in Florida is much more suburban, so
Okay.
we're not near any of that. Like I'm about where my mom is. It's about an hour outside of Tampa, and Tampa is about 3 hours from Miami, which is where
Yeah,
you were seeing that.
yeah,
And Tampa closed all their beaches quite a while ago. Miami has now done it. The mayor, they were closed. People were jumping the fences. So
yes.
now they're down there like giving giant tickets, and if anybody's on the beach, they're being arrested. But they can't put them in jail because if you put them in jail, they're at a higher risk for COVID right now.
Yeah,
It's a crazy time to be alive. But people are, what I've loved is that I'm seeing so much goodness as
yes,
people are so kind to each other and compassionate. And
yeah,
I have friends who are doing, and I can talk about some of this in the interview, but I have friends who are doing all kinds of great work, like friends who are a band who've been doing a free concert every night for
yeah.
people online. Um, just so many people doing such kind, compassionate things and rising to the occasion. So it's showing the best of humanity in my mind.
Well, here also, we started to also seeing that we can help, if you are not worried about your job and if you are comfortable and you know that you will have after this, it will be difficult, but you are in a good situation, then why not help,
Yeah,
because here in Chile, you still have like, for example, a person who comes home and help you, and but at this moment everybody is in their houses, they cannot work, then continue it, to continue to help that person and continue to, I don't know, maybe you cannot pay them the whole salary, but still you can help them with something or do a shopping, for them. And we started to see that and every night also people gather in their balconies like in Spain and start clapping because of the we want to show our appreciation to the doctors and nurses and everybody that is working, the health um, area, and we do that and we shout and
yeah,
know,
I love it. I love the good things that are happening. This is
well, in every good bad thing,
Well,
we
we're
have,
rising. Like I think humans rise
Yes.
It's one of our great potentials. When there's great chaos or catastrophe, we rise and we take care of each other.
Yeah.
And
I hope we don't forget, because normally, we have such a short memory, that we forget after when things are
I
good
think
again.
this one is going to be hard to forget. I think because,
Because,
there could be a next one next year.
yes.
Like, I think we're going to have to rethink, what I think we've learned, and I don't think we'll be able to forget, is that these lines in the sand we draw around countries and say, that's your country, this is my country.
Yeah.
They're imaginary. They're lines in sand that viruses and economics and so many things now transcend.
Yes.
So we're one humanity. We're one species.
And he doesn't care about your status or your color or whatever.
None of
He's
it.
and the amazing thing is it's not just a country, it's the whole wide world. It's like stop. That is what amazes me. That is the whole wide world. It's no place that you don't have this. Then I think we never thought that we were going to leave something like this. It's time for us to rethink a lot of things, and also to come back to love and patience and yeah, I don't know what makes us human. Wonderful humans, love and sympathy for the other, and it's a very special time. It's what I think.
Yeah.
Forced to be inside. Forced, for some people, for me, it's. I love my house. I don't care to go out. If I have to stay a month, I will. 2 months, I will. But for a lot of people, it was not that, and it's so nice to see the families now. They have time.
Yeah.
Everything stopped. And that's amazing. I don't want to take more of your time. I would love for you, if we can start the interview. I would love if it's possible for you, Dr. Scott, that I was reading your webpage, a mentor like not other, a mixture of Yoda and Bill, I don't remember the name.
Bill Nye, he's the
Yeah.
science guy in the Portland, or in the U.S. He's a
Wonderful. And you have like 25 years experience. And I met you, like I said, through the Mind Valley course, Money IQ with Ken Honda and yourself, leading with some meditation exercises and wonderful conversations. And I would love if you can share with us, with all the Sattwa Ayurveda community. I'm going to translate everything on my pages in Instagram and Facebook. But if you can share with us the mechanisms to cope and calm the fear and the anxiety around the COVID-19, the coronavirus, and also the concern that people will have, about not being able to work, stay at home, and that will be what I would love for you to share.
Beautiful. So you just let me know when we're starting. Are we starting now?
Now.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Oh, I've been having so much fun talking to you. I just would sit here and talk to you all day. So,
Me too.
this has been just such a joy. Thank you. First of all, thank you for the work you're doing in the world, and particularly in Chile. I know I have dear friends down in Chile, and I'm so excited that the work of the Chopra Center and the Ayurvedic work is spreading around the world, because I think so much of that work is actually addressing some of what we're talking about today. It's addressing how do you stay in your body? How do you stay healthy? How do you decrease stress? How do you stay present? So I know that our work speaks to each other very deeply. And most of the work I do as well all around the world. It's amazing how global. I've been with many countries already this morning. so much of this work is really about how do we find peace, how do we find center, and the word that I'm most resonating with lately is resilience. So how do we find our resilience in the middle of this global calamity and chaos? So and I'll start, and you just ask me whatever is useful. I'll go anywhere you want here. But the first question you asked me was, how do we basically address this fear that's running in us? So for so many people, you may notice, and I hear it kind of like a low rumble in my body when I'm with people, this underlying anxiety, tension, fear, that kind of happens from an Ayurvedic perspective at our root chakra, at this level of safety. So what I've noticed is around the world, so many of us, if we've got any kind of concern about safety in our lives, will we survive? Will we be okay? That right at the core of us, we've been shaking and feeling like, oh, this is crazy. I've got to kind of come back into myself. I've got to make sure I'm okay. I've got to make sure my family's okay. So lots and lots of fear running. And I want to talk about how to adjust that, but I also want to notice another dynamic I see. And I think it helps to actually have a context for this. So at one level, low rumble happening all over the planet. But at another level, kind of up here, there has been this beautiful, spiritual, loving, compassionate, just massive amount of love spreading around the planet. And you were sharing with me, every night in Santiago, you come out on your porch and you applaud, and we celebrate these doctors and these nurses and these healthcare practitioners who are on the front lines, really, and protecting us. Just one example, all the love that they're showing to be out there. So the very first thing I want people to do is recognize that it's not just about the fear, that there actually is a different wave that's happening. And so when I talk to people, whether it's Chile, it's Hong Kong, it's just every country that, I mean, just all over the place, everyone is saying the same thing to me. They're saying, I'm rethinking my priorities in life. I'm rethinking what's important. I'm spending time with my family. I'm deciding maybe shopping and buying things are not so important. So this is the beginning of moving out of fear, is to first recognize what's important to us. And so many of these fears are about losing things that actually don't matter. So, I drove out, shared with people, I drove out to be with my family before all the quarantine happened. And, I bought a car and came out with just the stuff in my car. And I thought, oh, I packed very quickly, and I had all this stuff, and I thought, oh, I don't know, I'm going to need all these things, I was like, oh, worried. And as I've been sitting in my family's home, I look and I go, well, do I really need all of these shoes? And do I really need all these shirts? And do I really need? And the answer is largely no. That very, very little is what I need to survive. And so the first piece is just to notice this bigger picture, and then to begin to notice what you need to survive, which is much simpler than most of us expect. So I look at that, and there's some things we can do with the brain, which we can talk about in a minute, to help us get back into our bodies and out of fear. But I like looking at the big picture first. So our big picture, what do we need to survive? And then noticing what we actually have, our connection to the people around us. So many people are saying, oh my gosh, I don't know if my job is going to be here. I don't know if I'm going to have enough money to survive. So in that bigger wave, part of what I'm noticing is people helping each other. I've noticed in my area, people have been buying gift certificates for restaurants that are suffering as a way to support the business. They've been buying from local bookstores and saying, I know I can't come in and shop, but I'm going to buy off your website, or I'm going to buy a gift card. You mentioned to me that people have employees. So many of them are giving some. And part of what I know, and this is something Buckminster Fuller said in the 70s, and we've seen over and over, is there is enough for everyone if we're willing to share. And I think the more we recognize that, and the more we're able to step into that, who's around us, who can we be in service to? Because moving into service is one of the quickest ways to move out of fear, to connect with another heart, another soul, and go, there's something I can give. then I've moved my attention off myself and into the bigger world. So all of these are the starting points.
Yes, it's amazing. Like you said, it's the best of people always come from these type of situations. And the word that I was looking for when we were talking before, it was resilience. It's like the capacity uh, to like reborn, from the ashes, like the phoenix, and I can see that now. And even if we are suffering, even if we are living in this flight fight mode, because we feel like our surrounding is threatening, us, but we can see that people, it's helping each other. It's not everything bad. That's what people needs to understand also, that not everything is bad. Good thing is also happening around the world at this present moment. And I really appreciate that you can share your knowledge with us, with the community of Sattwa, and I hope this will also help them, go through this. And if you can share more.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I love to hear you. My questions just go boo, because I love to listen to you. I always do.
You're so kind. I appreciate that. Well, let's talk about a little bit of, so we've got this bigger picture, and I love what you just said. There's this invitation to transformation. There's an invitation inside of COVID, which I think is to rethink the world we live in. And at the same time, we're living in the middle of it. So for so many people, that low rumble is running, that survival, that fight or flight. How will we make it? So I want to give you a couple tools that are useful for literally for your brain, because when you get in fight or flight, this is a brain response, a body response that we have as part of our evolutionary DNA. It's ingrained in us that when something is a threat, our body kicks in what we call the sympathetic nervous system.
Yes.
So, which is the part of us that goes like, there's danger, we must do something to survive. So the very beginning of this is to actually notice, so we can get out of sympathetic nervous system and into parasympathetic. So if you think about this as sympathetic, stressed out, parasympathetic, peaceful. So that's the way I remember these. So the peaceful nervous system, which is easy in Spanish because it's paz. Yes? Our nervous system for pause, that's the one where we are the most resourceful. And so when I talk about resourcefulness or resilience, what I'm talking about is our capacity to recognize how much we already have and our capacity to deal with difficult situations. So the very beginning is to notice in this 60 seconds if you're actually under attack. Now, our sympathetic nervous system is set up so if like a bear was running after us, or if like you were walking across the street and a car came really close, you'd want to be able to jump back, right? It's super useful for things like that. But right now what it's translating is this virus as if it's attacking us at every moment. And so of course we're like looking all around. But for many of us across the planet, we're in a quarantine. So we're in our homes. If we don't have the virus, we're not spreading it. We're in the safety of our homes. And so if to begin, we set our timer, and I do this on the phone, 2 minutes is better than 1, but start with 60 seconds. And I say 2 minutes because it takes about 2 minutes for our nervous system to reset, if we allow this to happen. So
2 minutes. 2 minutes, you said?
Yeah, about 2 minutes.
Super.
So set your phone timer, and one thing I will say is I have my phone timer on something very gentle. It's chimes. You don't want like an emergency alarm to be something, you just want something lovely. And in that 2 minutes, we breathe. And if you can see me, one of the things that we do is we can do a parasympathetic reset in our body, which is to take one hand and put it underneath right around our collar or the neck, and just trace the line that runs the mid section of our body all the way down to right below your belly button or your navel. And for 2 minutes, simply breathe and trace this line. Now, so what we're doing is the vagus nerve runs right behind here. The vagus nerve is what's active when our parasympathetic nervous system is running. And so we're just telling our system we're okay. And you can literally say that out loud if you need to, or in your head, I'm okay. Everything is safe in this moment. In this moment, I'm okay. And this is all we need is this 2 minutes just to notice I am okay for our system to reset. Now, this is not to ignore any of the danger. This is not to say like, oh, you can do this and go out and hang out in the middle of a crowded party, but it's to notice in our homes we're okay in this moment. So simple exercise in 2 minutes. And when we're at the end of that 2 minutes, like you can already feel it. We didn't even go 2 minutes, but
it's amazing. And what I remember, Scott, what I remember is that when you have a child and the child fell or something, the first things that you do, because it's like something, it's an instinct, you come and it's okay,
yeah.
happen. Imagine we have that. It's like wired, it is in us, but we forget.
And speaking of children, this is a great thing to teach children, because one of the things I've been most concerned about is how children are responding to this virus, because this is so new and so big. And it's hard enough for us as adults who've had some life experience to wrap our heads around something like this. So children really need our parents, our older brothers and sisters, to be modeling how to get back into resourcefulness. And this is a tool children can learn very, very simply.
Yeah.
So the primary thing we're doing here is we're just letting our system relax and know that we're okay. Any breath will help you, noticing the breath will help you. But the quick 60 seconds to 2 minutes will bring us back into the present moment. And then once we're here, we can start to think about, well, what is necessary? So if I'm not under any direct danger in this moment, first, what's necessary for me to deal with this fear? So if it's like, oh, I'm afraid when I go out that I'm going to get this virus. Well, that's a reasonable fear, right? Our fear is here to tell us there's something to pay attention to. So if that's the case and we're in a resourceful place, we can say, okay, so what are my options? For many of us, we know the option is to stay in more, right?
Yes,
the second option is to make sure when we go out, we're protecting ourselves, following the guidelines of the health officials that are helping us know how to do that. Once we've done those things, there's nothing else for us to do. So we just notice, okay, well, I've done what I can. So we notice we're safe, we've noticed we've done what we can, and there's no imminent threat. Now, from that point, we can start to play with some of what I call the gateways to resourcefulness, or the gateways to resilience. So we just started to play with one of them, which is breath. So as soon as we start breathing, as soon as we start coming back to our body, we're moving away from what I call dancing with ghosts.
Yeah.
So the ghosts are like the anticipatory anxiety, like all these terrible things could happen.
Yeah.
So for many of us, like this fear might be like, what happens when this is over? Like, how is the world going to change?
Exactly.
Here's the honest truth. The only constant in our life is changing all the time. And none of us have any clue right now how life is going to change. There will certainly be some things that are different, but that's a place that we don't have enough information right now to really be able to do much about. So at this point, so there's a part of us that we can just bring ourselves back to the present and acknowledge that we don't have enough information right now, so we just need to wait. So in the midst of that waiting, there's some things we can do. One of those things is to notice what we're curious about in this moment. So engage our curiosity. So if we're home, one of the quickest ways to come back to the present is just to say, well, what things are fascinating to me? Because when we get trapped in a moment of disaster, which we're not underneath rubble yet. We're not in the middle of a hurricane. Most of us have plenty of food to eat. We have, friends who are connecting to us on social media, through Zoom, on the phone. We have people that we're still connecting to. So we can let our curiosity start to come into play. So I just ask myself, what am I curious about? And that could be anything from, I'm really curious about learning more about the stars and the solar system. I'm curious about how to make different kinds of food with what's in my pantry. I'm curious about other cultures. And so many places right now are offering courses online for free. there's documentaries. So all of these ways that we can start to get curious. And one of the things I've been playing with is getting curious with the people in our homes. Because right now we're home, many of us with partners, with family, and we may not have talked to these people about so many things in their lives. So to get curious about, what are your children dreaming about? What are they imagining? What's exciting them? What is your partner excited about? So we can start to use this as an opportunity or an invitation to deepen our relationships. Because for most of us, we have a scarcity of time, and with our families and with our loved ones. And now we've actually got some time. So for example, so curiosity is a gateway. Another one is compassion. So as soon as my heart starts to feel your heart, and I start to think, wow, what's going on for Laura? What's in her life? And I feel her pain, her confusion, her angst, whatever it is for her in this moment. And you just have to ask, what's going on for you? The same as when we talked about service, I'm expanding my frame of reference beyond myself. The more I focus on me, the smaller my container for fear is. And the smaller my container is, the bigger my fear grows. So I think about this like a soda bottle. So if you've ever had a soda and it got shaken up, the gas in the soda bottle expands. And so all it can do, it can't move anymore. So all it can do is explode when you open it. That's like us, right? So one of the solutions to that is to give the gas way more room. So we use compassion, we use curiosity that widens us and our experience, we use service, we use awe and wonder. So what are the things that remind me that I am a small part of a huge universal system? And so if you can go out on a balcony at night and you can look up at the stars and think, wow, what an extraordinary universe I live in. If you can think about nature, if you watch a documentary on the ocean, all of these bring us into something bigger than ourselves. So
connecting with, with all the elements, like going out and watch the moon and, ether.
Exactly. And I know, I totally get when you're in fear, especially when you think bad things are going to happen next week. This is a hard place to be for a moment. And so that's why we do these pattern interrupts, like breathing, exercising in place will burn some of our fear out. Just run in your house, do jumping jacks, like let the energy have somewhere to go, and then remind yourself that I'm here in this moment and I'm safe in this moment, and that we don't know what next week's going to bring. I mean, the best example of this is none of us probably in the end of 2019 thought we would be in this position right now. The world changed radically overnight. Now, that was something none of us planned. And that's not a new thing. If I look even in my lifetime, I was talking to this amazing woman earlier today, and we were talking about how I remember before we had answering machines,
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I love to record my message.
At the beginning, it's like all of a sudden we've got call waiting, we've got answering machines, right? That was a big deal. Some of us remember before there was an internet. The internet comes along and connects the whole world. So many of these things that have happened in the world have changed all of us, even in the last, I'm almost 50, in the last 50 years. But when I would talk to my grandparents when I was little, they remembered before people had phones in their homes. And they remembered when people had outhouses. And, the Iceman came in a truck. I mean, in just a small span of history, we have had massive shifts. And some of what's happening with COVID-19 and the ways the world is shifting are offering invitations we have no idea where they're going to go. One of my favorite authors is a man named Peter Diamandis, and I absolutely recommend people subscribe to his weekly blog. Peter Diamandis is a futurist, and he's a scientist. He started the X Prize. And so one of the things in his blog last week, he said, here's a couple things to be hopeful about. And this is another piece, to look for the hope, look for the invitations, so that your brain starts sorting for possibility instead of like death, damage, despair. So he was noticing a couple things, and I want to share two of them with you because I think they're quite extraordinary. The first was that this is actually better than it could have been, which was kind of extraordinary for me to think about. So usually when we compare something, we're always comparing to something that's better. We go, oh, they have a better car, they have a better house, they could go on vacation. And Diamanda said, if this was Ebola with a 25% death rate, we would have been in a very different place right now. Just as an example. So I love to sit in the gratitude anywhere I can. So I'm so grateful for the people who are for my health, my family's health. I'm so grateful that there are scientists who are working on this. So noticing how this could have been worse and really being appreciative for whatever small piece we can be, I thought was a very powerful reminder that, which is also a gateway to resilience, is gratitude. Because we start to go, okay, what do I have in this moment? There's a lot we have. So the second thing he pointed out, which I loved, is that globally the scientific community is sharing data in a way that has never happened before. It used to be, up until this, like people were more invested in having their names on scientific papers, making sure they got credit, making sure if there was a drug that they got some money for it. And right now, around the planet, people are connected via computers. They're doing active research, and scientists can see what's happening. So we have a global network that's building that is new and exciting and has the potential to cure so many illnesses as super amazing scientists start playing with each other and shifting into a different kind of relationship. So I'm looking inside of this for the invitation of what does it mean? And you and I were talking about this. What does it mean to recognize that one of the awarenesses that's come out of this is that these lines we draw in the sand between countries, we say, oh, that river separates us, or that mountain separates us, or even just this imaginary line, like between the US and Mexico, it's just literally sand. And we say, this is a line in the sand. It's like, but it's wind blows and that sand is gone.
Exactly.
So what we're noticing, and I think this is one huge invitation, is that we are all one community, one common humanity that's connected by, at our very base, connected by our breath. Exactly. Like literally, that when somebody breathes, if they have a virus, that can come to somebody else, but also the breath you breathe and the breath I breathe are moving through the whole planet. So I think when we start to play in some of these places, and in no way am I ever forgetting the death and the despair that's happening on the planet. It's not to minimize, diminish, or say that any of that is not important or urgent, but it's simply to be able to say there's a both and. There's the destruction, there's the death for which our hearts are breaking, and at the same time, there's an invitation to create something new, so that this would not happen again.
Exactly. Yeah, because we were not prepared. We were not prepared to have something like this, and and now we have to start thinking, and we have the opportunity, to be reborn, to go out of this with a lot of things, that we have new paradigm. I don't know how you say in English. I forget. Paradigmas. It's
paradigm. Yeah, it's the same word almost. Paradigm.
Yeah. And no, it's the opportunity. It's the opportunity. And like you said, we always have this sad part that it's the people who is dying and the people who is suffering for this. And also the other side, that you have the opportunity to rebuild everything again with new things, with new paradigmas, new you have the opportunity to do that. It is the same like when you see the night, the darkest moment of the night. It's right before the lights come up. Then it's the same for us. We are experiencing the same thing. We don't know yet what is going to happen. We don't know yet how we are going to live with this, but we know that we are resilient. We know that we can rebuild everything again, and with better, knowing each other, with different feelings. not the same world that it was before, you know, so busy and in a rush. And I think we have a very, very good opportunity to build an amazing world after this.
Absolutely.
I don't know, I feel that way, you know, family again, love, and that that's what I think.
I love it. Absolutely. And I want to just remind people, and I'm just watching my time. I need to close
Yes.
shortly. So I want to leave people with one last little piece. So there's all of the stuff that's going to happen after. We'll get there when we get there. And in the middle, right now, every story has a before, a beginning, a middle, an end. So we'll have a new story. But in the middle of this story, one of the things I want to encourage you to do is really step into this place of service as much as you can. So the two questions I've been spending most of my time focused on lately, first is, how can I be of service?
Exactly.
The second is, how can I be joyful and abundant, which can happen in the midst of any circumstance. It's an inside job, as sometimes we say. I can be joyful in the midst of anything if I can notice my own gratitude. But I want to encourage you to think about the people who so you're grateful. There's things that you have that other people don't. And to think about those other people, whether it's friends who are staying at home by themselves. This has been something for me. I have a list of people that I thought, okay, these are friends who are really isolated. There's no family, there's no pet, there's nothing. They're home 23 hours a day.
Yes.
Um, and so thinking about those folks and how can I reach out to them? We all have those people in our lives. So,
Yes.
and you may be one of those people. If you are one of those people, then being willing to step up and ask, and I've been so moved by people who have said, I just need a little Zoom call. Could somebody, connect with me?
Okay.
Can we get on the phone? Um,
Yeah.
so if you're in that place, to really be willing to ask, but for those of us who are not in that place, who have friends and family around, to, to even be more bold and think through, how can we be in service to our friends? How can we be in service to people who work for us, who work with us, to people, maybe if they have children, and there's some talent you have or some like music. I was telling you earlier, my friends, the Kin, this beautiful band, have been doing live concerts every night at 5 o'clock on their Facebook page. And I'm watching so many ways that people are asking themselves, how can I be in service in this time of need? And what I can promise you is the more that you can sit with that question and ask what you have to give, the very first thing it's going to do is help you remember how resilient you are, because you have something to give. Every single person has something to give. So to think, what is it I have to give? And then to think of another in their time of need that's potentially greater than yours. That will dissipate some of your fear and allow you to step into gratitude. So this to me feels like the most urgent work in the midst of what we're doing. Um, for those of us who are not medical professionals, obviously, but
Exactly.
for those of us who can't help in that way, to be able to help in ways that could be anything from making food to, calling and supporting somebody, to reaching, to giving some money. It doesn't have to be a lot. You may think, I don't have a lot of money. I have $1 to spare. But maybe that dollar, if your dollar and my dollar go together and somebody else's dollar, we together create something of great service. So this is really where I want more than anything for people to feel into where can I be of service and what do I have to give. It will shift you out of that sympathetic nervous system
Yeah.
into that peaceful parasympathetic nervous system, so that you can recognize that the world is going to keep going. You'll likely be okay. And at the very least in this moment, you're okay.
Yes. Oof. Thank you very much. What you were talking is also, you know, the question, how can I be in service? It's one of the soul questions, right? That you always do when you go into meditation also. How can I be of service? You know, why am I grateful for, or what am I grateful for? You know, and those are the soul questions. I learned that also with Deepak, and it's what I do every time I meditate in the morning, you know, the soul questions.
Mm.
And it's amazing. I know you are a very busy doctor. And for me, it's been a pleasure to be able to share your knowledge with the people of Sattwa Ayurveda, that is my brand. And I hope this is the first, but not the last, because I really love what you do, and I really love the way you teach, you know, the exercises, the meditation and everything. And I hope, you know, after all of this, we can get together again and say, yes, we did it. And it's been just amazing to hear you. I don't have questions. I just want to listen to you, and that's for me enough and wonderful.
Thank you. I just want to thank you for being in such beautiful service, because I know that the work you're doing is helping so many people have more resilience, both in their spirits, but also their bodies. And I think right now, that's another piece we can really be thinking about. How do I keep myself healthy? Not just on my own behalf, but on everyone's behalf. And I know that the work you're doing is so important. And I so appreciate you and love this opportunity to talk to your folks and to talk with you. This has been just a joy. Thank you so much, Laura.
And you'll be translated in Spanish. Not your voice, but yes, everything that you say will be in Spanish. Then I will send you the you know, my pages, and I will let you know. But it's been amazing, and I don't know how to thank you for this. And I really appreciate your time.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I gotta tell you something really quick before I go.
Yeah.
You'll think is fun. I actually opened for Deepak Chopra when he was in Portland. Yeah, I get to speak before him on an event he did, and it was so lovely. So I took a picture of the two of us, and I joked that I'm here with my best friend Deepak Chopra. He's not. Like, he wouldn't know me at all, because he knows so many people. But I love his work, and so that's part of what was so fun to be with someone connected to that work as well. And you're just such a lovely spirit.
That was so nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, love. This was so much fun.
Oh, it was a pleasure to me. Thank you very much, Scott, and I hope to see you one more time, and I will follow.
I'll look forward to it. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.